Hi,
Hello. How are you doing today?
I'm good. It's just really gloomy weather in South Africa right now. So we're kind of in and out or in and off season. It's supposed to be summer, but we're experiencing winter weather. So
So what
people
is
do kind
winter
of
like?
so it's not like overseas, it doesn't snow or anything like that. It's just like really cold weathers. I live in Johannesburg, so it's like thunderstorms every single day currently.
You live in
Yeah, that's
Johannesburg?
yeah.
Hold on. I just recorded with someone in Johannesburg 2 days ago.
Yeah, I saw you recorded with someone from South Africa. I would assume so. It's a really big city, unfortunately. We're
Okay.
not gonna know everyone. I'm also very new in the whole diabetic, do you say group or
Base.
group setting? Yeah, in the
Mhm.
diabetic space. As much as I've been diagnosed like it's over 10 years now. But when I was diagnosed, there wasn't really anyone in my age who was diabetic. There wasn't anyone to actually speak to. And I didn't live in Johannesburg at the time. So I just moved to Johannesburg about 5 or 6 years ago. So
Oh,
I'm
so
still trying to,
you're a
I'm a
transplant into
new,
Johannesburg. Like, okay, I got you.
yeah,
All right,
yeah, yeah,
we're gonna hop right in then because you're a new mother. You got diabetes. We gotta get this going, right?
yeah.
All right. Welcome to the Chronically Well podcast, where we have real conversations with community that needs to be heard. On today's episode, I get to take another trip to Johannesburg. More recently, I've been to South Africa with Melissa. I've been to South Africa with Earl. I've been to South Africa with Tando. I know there's someone I'm missing that I recently recorded with, but I'm in South Africa again with Michelle. I thank y'all for inviting me into your space. My brother Earl just sent me a message the other day and was like, Will, whenever you want to come to South Africa, you'll have somewhere to stay. And I was like,
Please.
Are you sure? He was like, Yeah, because you know so many people here. But
Yeah,
you're my family, seriously. No one knows us
yeah,
like we know us.
true. That's very true.
Right. Michelle is a new mother. I remember seeing like you posting about it months ago, and I was like, yes, yes, like there's no greater gift than that, right?
Yeah, yeah.
It's the true blessing. Yes, yes.
It
Um,
really is.
Michelle, could you give our audience a summary of who you are?
Okay, so my name is Michelle. I'm born and raised in South Africa. I'm currently 26 years old. I mean, like you mentioned, I am a mother. However, she wasn't born a few months ago. She's actually one and turning two in June. I just started posting about her. I've been living with diabetes for about 13 years. I was diagnosed in 2012. Yes, in 2012, when I was 13 years old, I got your general typical diabetic symptoms, thirst, but I also had like blurred vision, going to the bathroom all the time. So I had this typical symptoms. However, because my family isn't really educated about diabetes, or at least at the time, diabetes was sort of seen as like an adult's diagnosis, if that makes sense, like your elderly, your grandpas and grandmas. So it was kind of like taboo to even speak about it or like say, okay, I am diabetic, especially for my age at the time. So whenever I had to disclose either to a school, or university or high school or whatsoever, the minute I utter, hey, I'm actually diabetic because I obviously had to announce that to every single school. It was seen as you would get the questions at your age. What are your parents doing? Why are you diabetic at your age? So I've gotten the usual typical questions or stereotypical questions of you don't look diabetic, you don't look like someone who's diabetic. yeah, maybe you should stop eating sweets. The typical, stereotypical things. But yeah, that's how life is in South Africa. I then started joining diabetic groups like Sweet Life and so forth. Trying to also not only educate myself further, but to also raise awareness in South Africa. We're now seeing that more and more people are being diagnosed with diabetes. So we're trying to raise as much awareness as possible and also fight for our rights as diabetic people or a diabetic group. So that's where I currently am in life. I'm in advocacy. Um, I'm trying to promote healthy living, but I'm also trying to promote like a healthy lifestyle, but also normal at the same time, as if it's not like we can't do what normal people do. We can also do it.
Right, because we are the new norm.
Yeah, yeah,
Right. They need to be looking at us and be like, I want to be like that person.
exactly. Yeah,
Minus the extra 180 decisions we make per day. Because I don't want anyone to have to handle all that. I don't
yeah,
even want it. I don't want you to have it, even though we kind of know it. But every day we know something changes. There's different nuances, different things, intricacies that do alter and change what it is for even us,
yeah,
experienced people living with type 1 diabetes. Like no
yeah,
day,
exactly.
no 2 days are the same, but we
Hmm.
put a
And that's what we're trying to tell our doctors. So what I've really discovered is that as much as we have people who are doctors, it's not like they are living with what we're living with. They just sometimes, based on your symptoms, they give you medication based on your symptoms. So the textbook, whatever symptoms that they're getting, but they don't really get how we're living our lives on an everyday basis. You get what I'm saying? Especially if it's a doctor or a GP or whoever you're seeing that is not diabetic. So that is what we're trying to raise awareness
look.
to. Like, no day is the same.
You just gave me a great idea. Oh my, look.
Okay.
I just posted something in my stories earlier today because someone had shared it about a VR game and how people put on that headset with the VR games and they're like falling and knocking stuff over, breaking glass, all that. I said we need one that's a type 1 diabetes VR game. Like so people can get
Definitely.
right, like how people so people can get a better sense of what it is. So it'll be like you got 5 seconds before your blood sugar raises, so you got to do this XYZ like handle. Yeah, we need that.
That
Like your
would actually be a very good game.
right, like your blood sugar is low, so you can't focus, you can't hear, you can't see, you can't like you're like I don't know what I'm doing and like it's almost like you've been spun around like 1,000 times and then being pushed into a direction.
That would actually be good because then people would be like literally living in our shoes and what we have to deal with on an everyday basis. I would literally want like the healthcare profession group to actually be using
Right.
that game more. I want you guys to experience what I experience on an everyday basis and then come back and tell me if you think you'd be able to control your sugars 100% every single second of the day.
Right. Because they wouldn't be able, I mean, they can take off the headset. We can't.
Yeah, yeah,
They wouldn't want to wear that headset at night, not
yeah.
knowing, like you're going to sleep, not knowing what's going to happen truly.
Yeah, yeah.
But but when you go in for a visit, they'll say, "Oh, why at 2 a.m. was your blood sugar at so and so?" Or why do you I don't know. Like, you tell me, Mr. Professional, right? Yeah, there's so many nuances that go into this living with type
Yeah,
1 diabetes. And you were diagnosed at 13 years young, not old. 13
yeah.
years young. I just think about that, like, was that like seventh or eighth grade?
Seventh grade.
Seventh grade. Wow. My daughter is in eighth grade now, and she's very responsible, very mature, but I know there's no way a 13-year-old can handle this.
True.
There's,
The one
you're,
thing that really it did teach me was responsibility. However, I didn't learn that on the go. I think after a couple of times of going to hospital and realizing, okay, my mom and dad aren't here when I'm here majority of the time because they have to go to work. That's when you're like, okay, I gotta get my life together. I can't keep on being here. I can't keep on being in hospital. I can't keep on missing on schoolwork. I think after a while, it does teach us, diabetes does teach us to be responsible at a very tender age. Um, it's a skill that you actually grow up with and actually you find useful when you're older. But at the time, at 13 years old, definitely not. You just feel like your diabetes is a burden at that stage. You feel like you can avoid certain things. You feel like, okay, even if I eat this chocolate, my mom and dad won't find out. I'll correct very easily. I'll do this and that. But then you end up being in hospital at the end of the day. And then you're like, okay, I'm definitely regretting my decisions now.
diabetes made you grow up fast, like
Yeah,
real fast, especially when you like look at your peers and stuff. Like you were basically an adult at 13 because you were having
yeah.
to manage and take care of who you are. And that's
Mhm.
why the medical professionals need to know, like when we tell them that, like tell them different things, they need to know and understand that, oh yeah, she has been taking care of this since she was a young teen. So maybe she does know a bit more than me when it comes to certain things like the lived experience, knowing how
Mhm.
her body changes with different things such as hormones, stress, adrenaline, all of those
Yeah,
things. Like they don't know that. All they do is see a number.
yeah.
That number can be changed and altered.
A thousand times, actually.
Right. You being diagnosed at 13. I did want to tap into your diagnosis story. Do you recall
Mhm.
that time?
Like I said, I was in seventh grade, just about getting ready to be transferring to high school, right? At the time, I lived in Cape Town, still in Johannesburg. And I was, like I said, experiencing your typical symptoms like the thirst, the frequently going to the bathroom. I would black out sometimes. I was a very active child. I used to do ballet. I used to do netball. I did modeling at the time because of my tiny body. I was a very active child, right? So when I started getting these symptoms, my parents were just like, "Oh, you're probably just tired." Do you get what I'm saying? You're doing a lot. You go to school. After school, you have these extra activities that you need to do. Even on your weekends, you don't really have time for friends because you have to go for modeling or shootings or all of these different stuff, right? But then this sort of started getting serious. Now it's happening a lot of times, even 2 weeks after dropping everything and just focusing on myself, this still is going on for a lot of like number of days. So my mom is a nurse, and my dad's a teacher, right? So my dad is particularly a life science teacher where they actually have whatever module that has to do with diabetes at the time.
Mhm.
So now on this particular day, my mom is trying to wake me up to go to school and I can't see. My eyes are open, but I cannot see. She keeps saying, "But your eyes are open. What are you telling me? What do you mean you cannot see?" I'm like, "Mom, the room is dark. I cannot see anything." So, really, I live in South Africa. Everything here is witchcraft. I don't know. Everything is just witchcraft. Whoever is bewitching you, let's look
So
into this, let's look
some
into that.
juju.
Exactly. It's just like, what do you mean you cannot see? What is going on? Like, what is going on? My mom is now starting to panic, right? So my dad is on a trip on, okay, maybe we need to go to Eastern Cape. Maybe she needs to go see her grandfather and do traditional stuff. So my parents are more Christian than traditional. So my dad thinks it is time for us to take a look at traditional stuff. Now, the drive from Cape Town to Eastern Cape would take 24 hours, let's say, or lesser,
Mhm.
but we kept on stopping. We kept on stopping and telling my parents, I feel thirsty. I need to be going to the bathroom. I feel weak. Now, guess what my parents are doing throughout this journey? I keep saying, I feel weak. You're buying me energy drinks. You're buying me sweets. You're buying me all sorts of things that you think are going to give me energy. You're buying me Coke. I'm getting worse and worse by the second. By the time we reach Eastern Cape, I collapse, literally. And that is where my dad drives me to the hospital. The hospital is making their own conclusions or assumptions when we get there. Are you sure you are the father? What's going on with your child? Why does she look so pale? She looks like she's not okay. Has this child been sexually abused? What is going on with this child? My dad is like, can someone please just look at my child before you can ask whatever questions, but cater to her. This is where they usually do the procedure, which is check for your sugars, check for high blood, check for, I don't know if they check for iron or what else. So this is where I am then diagnosed with diabetes. I'm told that I am on like a 30 millimole or something. I don't know at the time. So I am put on a drip. Now this is when I'm getting told that I'm diabetic. The only person who was diabetic in my family was my great grandmother, who passed on, but not due to diabetes, due to,
The
I think it was
complications.
Alzheimer's. Yeah. So now you're telling me that I am diabetic. And the way they put it is, my love, you have sugar. I look at my dad and I'm like, "Hmm, I'm not understanding what's going on. Yeah, you have sugar. So I asked my dad, okay, can they take it out? I don't know what's going on. Can they take this
That's what
sugar
I thought
out?
when you just said that.
I'm like, can they take the sugar out? Because Dad, remember, we bought fudge, we bought cake, we bought Coke on the way, we bought energy drinks. Maybe what she's saying is true. I have so much sugar. So can you take the sugar out? That's when the doctor's like, no, I think she needs a little bit more counseling and she needs to speak to someone for like a person who can speak to children to make them understand or make them face the reality of they're going
A,
to be living
a
with this
therapist.
situation forever. Yeah, yeah. What I feel they should have done at the time is um, they should have brought all of us into therapy, not just myself. Because the minute I was diagnosed, it changed even the dynamics of my family. So I feel like we all should have gone to counseling at the time. It shouldn't have just been me because now for it being me, it changed a lot of things. I don't even know if my situation is why my parents split. I don't even know if my situation is what caused my brother and I's relationship to sort of drift a little bit because maybe the main focus for the parents was now to take care of me, right? So there's a lot of things that still play out in my mind. But yeah, that is in a nutshell how I was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes.
Yeah, that's not in a nutshell. That was a lot. That was like a whole tree of nuts. Like whole tree of nuts and squirrels.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, because yeah, it wasn't your fault at all that you got this diagnosis. And when you
yeah,
mentioned about the sugar, I was like, I know she's going to think that they could just take it out. I wish it was that simple. It sounds like that
yeah,
when someone says, "Oh," like when you hear like if you're younger, that you hears about some older person like they got the sugars, like
yeah,
they need to stop eating sugar,
yeah, exactly,
right?
exactly. So
It's
yeah, that's typically what I had to deal or face when I was just 13 years old.
Right? There's so much more to it than just sugar.
Yeah.
Um, Sugar is the known factor, but there's so many variables that, again, we don't know about until they actually happen. Like 13
Hmm.
young lady going through like menstrual cycles, you're a young teen, you got everything. You got the boys, you got the girls, so many different fights, arguments, excitement, parties. Like you got school that you don't like and like
There's a
so,
lot that you actually go through
so
at
many
the time.
things. Yeah, so many hormonal things that truly do affect your diabetes, and you don't know that until you're even older. Like, oh, that's why when I was in school, this happened, or I fell asleep, or I couldn't focus.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, and or why I don't retain that information. It's because of that. But
Yeah, yeah. I think my biggest problem is I used to be a very bubbly person, like really like not really have a social life, but like just a very lively person. What diabetes did is sort of like dim my lights, particularly when my sugars are like very high. I am so irritable very fast. The slightest of things just annoy me. And I remember my mom telling me, I don't know if it's because you are now 13 and you're a teenager, but I don't like how you are. I don't like who you are or who you are becoming. And I only realized later on that my mood swings have a lot to do with my sugars at the time. If my sugars are normal, then I'm my normal self. If my sugars are high or low, that is where behavioral changes happen. Like I have mood swings, I don't want to talk, or I feel tired all the time. So there's a lot that actually has to that comes into effect when you are diabetic. It's not just what did you eat? Why are your sugars high? What did you eat? And that's something that I have been battling with in the public setting. Whenever before I had medical aid, I was attending like your public hospitals to get treatment. And this is a topic that we've been battling with. And when I say as a nurse, you really should take some time and educate yourself, specifically if you are in the diabetic department. Educate yourself before saying something that's going to affect someone else's life, right? So, because now my sugars are high or whatever, now you're always going to assume, what did I eat before I come into the hospital? This made me so anxious that every morning, if I know I have a doctor's appointment, really, I wouldn't eat at all. I would rather my sugars be low when they're checking than actually eat and then having them to spike and then having that one typical nurse who's going to ask me, what did you eat? You really need to stop eating sugars.
yeah, I remember those days where being young, going to the doctor and being like, what am I going to do to get this blood sugar down? Like, do I need to run before I go in or like there's so many different things like we thought of like but we didn't know just like other people don't know like there's nothing you can do immediately that
Yeah.
can change it like you can't change your diabetes right away
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and that's what they need to know like I can't
Yeah.
change it. It's not like you tell someone like my blood sugar is high and they're like they can't just tell you okay change it. It's not a
Yeah.
dial. It's not a dial because sometimes you inject that insulin and it may go right away, like within 5, 10 minutes. But then sometimes it may linger on for 2, 3, 4 hours, then turn into 2 days
Yeah.
and 3 days. And they have to understand that us living with it, the how it affects emotionally and mentally, like it's draining and those blood sugars, when they change, it does alter the mind. Like
It
it's a
does.
hormonal imbalance.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And that is when, now that I am adult, that I have been exposed to the fact that a lot of diabetics are either living with anxiety or living with depression for most of the time. And then I recently also got diagnosed with anxiety. And I was like, okay, as a person who, because they asked me if I wanted to go on medication for it. And I used to say, I would rather do something, go hiking, go to the gym, do something than actually take the medication. Because I'm like, I don't know how that's going to affect my insulin intake, and I don't know what that is going to do to my moods. And especially as a person who is in the front of everything, professionally, I mean, I need to be dealing with a lot of clients. I need to be negotiating. I don't want to particularly be at a point in place whereby I'm not on my best moods at the time.
Right. And
Yeah,
you're trying and you're doing everything you can to be at your best, especially with the tools that you have.
yeah, yeah.
We know everywhere doesn't have the same tools. Like the tools that I have are not the same as the tools you have. And I'm pretty
Mm-hmm,
sure you see that across like social media, all over the internet. You're like, life is easier for some people in some places, and that's the truth. It is.
mm-hmm,
Yeah, that's why we truly learn who we are as individuals. Like when we tell people our diabetes is our diabetes, it's an individual thing. Like those medical providers, we tell them you cannot compare what I'm living through, my lived experience, to another person's, because another person, she may be a black girl, she may be 26. But does she have the job you have? Does she have the household you have? Does she have the child you have? Does she have the
mm-hmm,
access to the food and medical care that you have? Like, no two
mm-hmm.
people are the same. And people
Right,
need to get that through their heads.
right, right. And I specifically what you're saying, I remember in high school, particularly around when we're about to do exams or something. I wouldn't be okay. I don't know if it was the stress of everything, but my sugars would be a roller coaster. I would end up having to go home early. And I remember this one other teacher saying, my grandma is also diabetic and she's not as sick as you are. When I told you, just that one statement made me feel super down that even my parent had to beg me to go to school and go and speak to that certain individual and tell them, this is not how you speak to someone else's child. I don't care what you're dealing with. When she's at school, your responsibility is just to educate her. If you're not her teacher, keep your opinions to yourself. So I don't know how it is overseas, but in South Africa, it feels like everyone is always in your business, unprovoked, always in your business. For example, I was in a restaurant that other time. Before, I was at a place where but I used to hide the fact that I was diabetic. I'd
Mhm.
go to the bathroom to insert or inject myself, right? But it's now 2025. A lot is going on. I believe our world has also changed. I am now injecting my insulin in public before I eat my food. I take my insulin. There was a guy about just a couple of inches away from me, and he asked the waiter if I could do that in a more private space, inject myself in a more private space. And I asked the waiter to ask the guy to come and tell me that in front of my face, and for you to tell me what you think I'm injecting. This is not heroin. These are not drugs. I don't have the option to either inject or not to inject. Tell me what you think is going on before assuming anything. So even in the public eye, as much as we're trying to raise as much awareness and we're trying to be positive, you are going to be met with a lot of negativity. And then you also have to be able to stand up for yourself. Um, Especially if you're in South Africa, you really need to stand
Mm.
up for yourself, especially as well if you're a person of color. Know how to stand up for yourself because a lot of misinterpretations of even you being quiet can even lead you to being in trouble for just not saying anything.
So we take this as Every opportunity is an opportunity to learn, an opportunity of education.
Opportunity to learn and educate others.
Yeah, and that's something people don't understand that we have to do 24/7 also. Like
Yeah.
everyone else doesn't have to do that. Like people know when you see someone with an oxygen tank or someone pull out an inhaler or any of those
Mm-hmm.
physical things, but people don't understand diabetes at all. And that's not our fault. It's not
Yeah.
ours at all. That's the media, because for so many years it's been deemed as a negligent disease.
That's very
Something to do with like your health, such as overeating, obesity, those types of things. But we know, like us living with type 1 diabetes, like, come on now. A 13-year-old girl is diagnosed with type 1 diabetes, and you're telling me it's her fault
yeah.
or even her parents' fault? Like, no, she has siblings, they don't have it. So how can you say
Yeah.
that it's their fault? It wasn't. Um, so I want to know, like, when you went back to school at 13 years old, you already had your peer groups, had your friends. Um, when you came back, did people like look at you different?
When I came back, I was at a stage of still hiding it, right? I'm 13 years old. I don't want anyone knowing I'm injecting myself with anything. I'd still go to school, but I hid it a lot. When it's my lunchtime, um, at the time I was only injecting about 3 times a day, in the morning, at lunch, and at dinner. So in the mornings, I'd obviously take my insulin before going to school and eat as well. And then on my lunch break, before I even eat, I would run to the bathroom and inject myself. And then the third time would be when I'm home and having dinner. So it was pretty easy to sort of hide. However, the teachers needed to be aware of my condition. I heard it a lot when it came to classmates, but my closest friends knew that I had type 1 diabetes. But like I said, we were 13 years old. I see Michelle injecting herself. That's it. I don't know what's going on. Michelle's parents or Michelle's mom, when she comes to a sleepover, said Michelle can't eat sweets. Michelle needs to eat healthy. Michelle needs to eat greens. So I'm a burden to my friends. I can't eat sweets. I can't do this. I can't do that. I constantly have to be checking my sugars. I, in fact, stopped doing those sleepovers because I felt embarrassed. I felt ashamed that this is now my life. And yeah, man, I think I lost a lot of friends because of that. I became more closed off. Now, when I got to high school, things started being different, but they started being different, particularly around the 10th grade, where now I am introduced to the module of diabetes. Now we're talking about diabetes and everything like that. And I tell the teacher, hey, I have that in class while we are having this lesson. She's like, really? I'm like, yes. The teacher then goes, tell us more. That is the first time I ever stood in front of a lot of people and I'm engaging and I am telling you guys about my situation. That was the first time. And I was very intrigued at how people were actually interested in knowing more and people were asking questions. And that is when I started being more open about it. It was only after, let's say, 4 years of being diagnosed that I am now comfortable in talking about my diagnosis and about my everyday life.
That gives people more awareness and being the ability to be alert and conscious to like the things that you do. Because
Mhm.
ahead of that, they're like, oh, Michelle's the girl with diabetes that injects insulin. That's all they know.
Yeah.
And that's great that y'all were doing that module on diabetes. I think I did one in 6th grade. And not until I got older, like I remember like, oh wow, that must have been like like someone putting a sign out there like you're gonna get diabetes someday. Like, no, take that sign back. Why couldn't I did something else? Like, I don't know, food allergy.
Something, just something other than diabetes. But I always say this to my parents. It sucks, and it feels like I'm crazy for saying I'm grateful that I actually now have diabetes. I'm grateful for being able to go in front of many people and educate. So the group that I am currently with right now, um, there's even parents who, let's say, have primary scholars, like their children are still going through the primary phase and they just got diagnosed. I get to be the speaker. I get to go um, on the school hall where there's thousands of kids over there. And I am here, little old me, just educating tiny people about diabetes. There's a lot of bullyism that happens nowadays when someone is different, right? And we're trying by all means to eliminate that by being transparent as much as possible. It's one thing to tell the teacher that, hey, my child has this condition, and if such happens, do this. And if this happens, do that. But no one is going to educate themselves well enough unless it's their child. Do you understand? You're just going to think of the basics. Okay, this happened. Let me treat it like this. To this day and age, even my parents, I always do like tests on my parents. Mom, if this would happen, how would you assist me? If that would happen, how would this assist me? And we've had arguments, we've had conversations about this, and I kept saying, as a parent, and especially as me living for this disease for more than 10 years, you should know more. What I am trying to do currently is I know that my child is just like 1 year old and she's going to turn 2 in June, but I really want to be a parent where I educate her to a T that she knows when mom is like this is how I can help. I'm not trying to be like dependent on her, but I want it to be a situation whereby if something happens, she's not freaked out, she's not crying, she knows immediately to ask for help and she knows what to do in the meantime while she's waiting for the assistance. I pray to God that she's not going to deal with this.
I hope your child never has to experience any of those things. I've shared this with people before, but not many know. Like my daughter, who is in eighth grade now, when she was 7 years old, so this was 7 years ago, she actually found me in the house in the bathroom, passed out, and she's like somehow my wife couldn't contact me, so she came home from work. It was in the summertime, and she said like my daughter was like, I don't know what I would do without him. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, like it shook her to her core. And I
Mhm, mhm.
let her know all the time, like, you saved my life. Like you did. And
Mm,
it's because of you. Like I got a better control on who I am as a person living with diabetes because
yeah,
I have to make sure that no one has to find me like that again. Like for real.
yeah, yeah. For me, it was actually my baby daddy who found me in that situation. Um, the weird thing is that it was okay, dating and diabetes is just a weird combination in general. I never know how to break the news. It also started out as me also trying to hide myself for like a couple of months while in like the dating process until one day I was like, you know what? I'm tired of doing this. And I had to come clean. Um, the way he was so accepting of what I just said, I asked, are you comprehending what I'm saying when I'm telling you I'm diabetic? He's like, yes. Do you have any questions? No. Do you know what diabetes is? He's like, yes. I think I'm 30 years old. I know what diabetes is. Have you ever met anyone who's diabetic? No. Okay, so maybe your question would be, Michelle, how do I assist in such and such a situation? He's like, well, I was assuming you were going to educate me anyway. So he was the first calmest person that I've told that I'm diabetic, and he took it in so well. And then a couple of months later, then that is when COVID was introduced, and it was in 2020, 2021 actually. And I don't know how I got in contact with COVID. I have no idea because I was always indoors at the time. But I collapsed. It first started off as just like a cough. I would cough, I would have back pains, just weird symptoms, man, where you would assume it's just flu. And then I started vomiting and I didn't know what was going on. My initial thought back then was, okay, I'm definitely pregnant. But I checked, no, I'm okay. The one time he said, I'm coming to see you. We live like 10 minutes apart. In that 10 minutes, Willie, I collapsed. In that 10 minutes of me confirming and saying, okay, I will see you in 10 minutes, I collapsed. Um, Now, because the security already knows him because he visits frequently, it wasn't alarming when he's saying, this person isn't answering their phone and this person has this condition and well, such things could happen. Can you even please accompany me and we go to her apartment or unit and just check if she's okay because I was meant to be picking her up. When they walked in, luckily my door was not locked because remember, I was expecting to go out anyway. They found me on the floor, collapsed, unconscious. And that was that was a reality check, man, of I was so scared to live alone after that. I'm like, what if something happens? How am I going to deal with this and this and this? Especially now with having a kid as well. When I was pregnant, my biggest fear is that happening whilst I'm pregnant or um, with my kid. My kid is still a baby and I collapse. What on earth would I do? So that was a reality check to just take my life more seriously, pay attention to my body, regular checks on my sugars, and eat well and exercise as often as I possibly can. And that is where I currently am right now. That was an eye-opening experience for me. And I never looked back ever since.
Living with type 1 diabetes, those eye-opening experiences, they happen all the time with us. You know how some
Yeah.
people, and we look at some people, how they can go out in the free world and just do whatever. And we look at them like, how the hell is that going on? But we know like we gotta carry bags and all types of stuff with us, extra everything, everything.
Yeah.
But yeah, those eye-opening experiences help us with that. And now we prepare ourselves for the long run,
Yeah.
not
Mm.
the short run, because we're going to outlive a lot of people who aren't living with this because of how conscious we are with understanding our body. Like
Mm-hmm.
we
Mm-hmm.
have to be. I did want to ask something though, because you did mention your parents a few times and them not understanding your diabetes. I was in a call earlier with someone in India and she mentioned it also and asked me how does my she was like how does your family feel about or what do your family know about your diabetes really like as you do? And I'm like, no,
Mm-hmm.
because
Yeah.
she was diagnosed when she was 15. You were diagnosed when you were 13.
Yeah.
And she mentioned how like from day one it was hers. Like she had to handle everything living with diabetes. And I'm thinking the same with you. Like from day one, like you were forced into an adulthood, forced into a role that you didn't ask for. And you
Yeah.
mentioned like your parents and their beliefs and Christianity and things. I've spoken to people all around the world. Did your parents think at some point like it can't be forever?
Because of their profession, I think for me it was different. The minute I was just told I am diabetic, my mom's a nurse. She definitely knew. And like I said, my dad is a teacher and particularly is a specialist in like life sciences and stuff. So I think it was a given for them from the get-go. But like I said, they only know textbook knowledge, right? So what happens is, particularly in my case, the minute your child is diagnosed as diabetic, my mom went into crazy obsession, trying every diet, trying new things, trying this, trying that, full on extreme obsession mode. While the dad sort of takes a step back. I don't know if maybe to them mentally it's like, did I give this to my child or what? But my dad like took the hugest step back and just allowed my mom to take the wheels, right? But in allowing my mom to take the wheels, she didn't understand in depth what I was going through. In her thinking she's assisting or helping me, I felt like she was overwhelming me a lot of the time with doing this, trying this, do that, do that. It was a little bit overwhelming. And that is when I decided to take matters into my own hands. That is where I decided to educate myself more. That is when I decided to join groups, go on YouTube, find other people. That is when my journey of trying to educate myself and be more in tune with my now new reality started.
Yeah, I was wondering if I was wondering if your dad, because you know, being the male, the dominant figure in force in your household, if he was
Mhm.
like he couldn't believe, well, he knew because of his education and background, but still like you're his child and he can't protect you. Like I
Mhm.
cannot
Mhm.
protect her from this. Like all I know is how to fix things. Like I'm the fixer upper like of everything, but I
Yeah.
can't. And there were so many small nuances with diabetes. He was like, maybe mom will be better with caring for this as like
Yeah.
we know naturally mothers are with like infants, with babies.
Yeah. Yeah. And because of her profession, he thought, yeah, she definitely knows better. There was a lot of guilt on his side, I don't want to lie, because he was like, I'm a specialist, particularly in this situation. I should have seen the signs. That was his first thing. I should have seen the signs. Does this mean I'm not taking any note of my child? Am I too busy to look after my child or notice the smallest of things? What was I doing while all of these symptoms were occurring? So a lot of the time, while speaking to him now as an adult, those are some of the things that I have found out were going through his mind. Hence why the huge step back at the time.
Yeah. Dad, mom and dad, I just need to let y'all know today and know here that as parents, true parents, we do everything we can to make sure that our children grow up to be that independent, respectful, honorable person that they choose to be. We just give them all of the valuables, the gems, so that they can be that. And
Mhm.
you gave your child the things that she needed just at 13. She was hit hard. She was hit hard. And for many people, like you do not know the nuances of the mental and emotional stress that diabetes puts on someone. And we don't, when we're young, we don't think about it. We don't think about it. These things naturally occur. Insulin
Mhm.
is a hormone. And with the lack of that hormone, everything changes as any lack of hormone does mentally and physically with us. Like
Yeah.
mom, she may have been angry, she may have been irate, but Michelle is forever your baby. She's forever your baby, mom. Like she did not purposely do this. Even though we think like 13, 14-year-old girls and how they think they're grown and all of that. Like I should name this title. She thinks she grown. But we know as people living with type 1 diabetes that there are some things that are not in our control. When those blood
Yeah.
sugars reach a certain point, all we can do is try to figure it out. But when we're young and that happens, there's no really figuring it out because we don't have the education. We don't have the
Mm,
community. We don't see other people that are living with this and going through the things that we're going through where we can learn from them as we do now as adults and being able to have these peer groups and the kind of groups that your daughter is working with the thousands of kids to aid and help that. And hopefully those parents
mm,
can see it. But yeah, parents, we do appreciate you. We appreciate everything that you do as our kids appreciate, hopefully they appreciate all the things that we do. But
they
yeah,
definitely do. They just won't say it.
look, they better look. This roof didn't get put there. Like it didn't. You didn't wake up and have this space, this house, this food, these clothes.
Yep, yep.
But yeah, I just love to give our parents their flowers also because we know that during this diagnosis, it was forever changing mentally to them, and
Mhm,
they just can't, like, even though they know you have this chronic health condition, like truly they can't believe it. Like, why my child out of
yeah,
all
yeah.
children? Now I have to do so much more. And there's a big percent of family dynamics that do change and alter because of this diagnosis, as it does with any chronic health condition, but this one specifically because a lot of parents, after a while, there are arguments and fights that ensue over you're not doing enough. I'm doing too much with this care. You're not
Mm,
doing enough. But after a certain amount of time, like it's too late now. Like you're already advanced in this knowledge and care. Like I can't catch up.
mm, mm,
Um,
mm,
I do advise all parents when a child is newly diagnosed, and I advise medical teams as well. Like you said, like to have them join with a therapist, a family therapist, someone that's going to let them know this is going to happen. You are going to fight because this is a struggle. If you're not fighting, then it's not a struggle. You
mm.
know, like every struggle, there's a fight that comes with it. But you got to
Mm,
be able to tell yourself, like, it's not the it's not the end all be all. Like it's not the end of anything. It's just a
yeah,
new part, a new chapter in life. We got to turn
yeah,
that page, burn that page, rip up that page, throw that book away because literally at 13 you became a grown woman.
yeah, yeah. Unfortunately, and
Unfortunately.
it's also very because now we are a family of four: my mom, my dad, my brother, and me. Um, every December holidays, we close for like a month at school. And typically that's when my parents or my whole family packs and we go to our extended family. Now we are a huge group of people. There's more than 30 of us and we're all in one yard. Now the tricky part is Michelle can no longer eat that. Michelle doesn't eat that. As much as my mom thought she was being helpful, I felt so isolated. It's Christmas. People are having jelly and custard. My mom is saying, don't dish that up for my child. People are having lollipops. They're celebrating. They're eating this, that, and that. Remember, I'm still a 13-year-old. I'm feeling newly diagnosed. Honey, I do want the jelly and custard. I don't care what it's doing to me, but I want it,
Yeah,
okay?
y'all better
Uh,
figure out this insulin thing.
Exactly. You better figure out how to help me after I eat it, but I'm definitely gonna eat that jelly and custard, okay? Um, I felt a lot isolated, man. I think the same habits are still happening within the family right now when we are with extended family. But I think now that it's been years that it's been happening, I'm sort of I tuned out of it. I'm just, But when it started, I was obviously hurt. I obviously felt isolated. I felt alone. I felt like a burden because now we have to buy a specific or special diet for Michelle. Um, and it was always that talk of, let's say, for example, cook Michelle's food with a separate pot because it needs to be boiled and not fried with too much oil. That hurts a lot, man. I'm sure when a person is saying it, they're not saying it to intentionally hurt me. It's just an instruction. But it's like, okay, damn, why do I have to be so different? Like, why can't everybody just have boiled meats that day? Why can't, I don't know, like do something? It's a lot isolating, especially when you are feeling newly diagnosed. It's isolating, it is overwhelming. A lot of hurtful things can be said that you are not aware of. Um, and that's where you discover how sensitive you are as a human being.
And as human beings, we all have that sensitiveness in us, like, and we don't know until something's brought up and it sparks that.
Hmm.
Because, like you said, like isolation, no one wants that. No one
Yeah.
chooses that. No one does. Psychologically, there's something imbalance within a person when they do choose isolation. Because we don't want
Yeah.
that. And it makes me think of because everyone was like, Michelle, Michelle, Michelle. It was like Michelle was walking around with a red hat on, right? Like, and everybody was pointing at you. Michelle, Michelle, Michelle can't eat that. Michelle can't have that. Michelle, like, is Michelle
Yeah.
okay? Michelle, where's Michelle? Like,
That's exactly what was happening, actually,
right.
precisely what was happening.
It's like the where's Waldo? Like, where's Michelle? Like,
Yeah.
and you have you have cousins, friends, you have a sibling. What's the age difference in you and your brother?
Well, that's a lot. That's 13 years apart.
13 years.
Yeah.
So he's 13 years older than you.
Yeah.
Even him being 13 years older than you, so 26 when you're diagnosed, he's still young, growing, developing. Like
Yeah.
what are you, 26 now?
Yeah.
You're 26 now. Since this, like, picture the closest person to you, your child, right? Your child is what? 24, 25 years younger than you.
Yeah.
Now, imagine your child being isolated from any situation
Hmm.
and hearing and seeing that isolation, that's going to affect you
Yeah.
because you're the closest person to that child. Siblings have
Mm.
that innate, that natural instinct and ability to feel things. And they
Yeah.
won't know that that feeling is because of attention being thwarted towards Michelle, even though
Yeah.
I'm already an adult. They just feel like something's missing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like something.
Definitely. My diagnosis really did take a part in our drifting apart. I mean, we are there for each other when needed, but we're not as close. Um, I remember when I was diagnosed, and my brother's like 20 something. He has a girlfriend. Um, on the day I was diagnosed and I'm in hospital, his girlfriend's mom, I don't know if it was the girlfriend's mom's funeral. He never even came to the hospital. He went to the girlfriend's mom's funeral. Um, and for me, it was a thing of, damn. You didn't even come and check up on me. Not even once. You chose someone else over me. And I was like, what if that happened to me while you were at that funeral? Then what? Then
Understood.
what?
You're that's valid. Your
Yeah,
emotions, everyone's emotions are valid.
yeah.
Um, there's so many things I have going through my head thinking about that. Like your big brother may have thought like, oh, she's young, she's resilient, she'll get through this. Because that's
Mm,
how a lot of people see it, as though you're young, you're resilient, you'll get through this. Or he may not have known th- everything like your parents knew about
mm,
sciences and the body and nursing and all of that stuff. So he may have thought like, oh, she's 13. By the time she's 20, she won't have to worry about this again. She'll be fine.
mm,
Or she'll learn it and it'll become second nature. So I've had so many
yeah.
conversations with people, and a lot of people do think those things. They think like, oh yeah, it happened when you were young, so you should be okay with it now. We know living
Mm,
with diabetes is something we'll never be okay with. We just learn it and we it walks beside us. It's like when we're young, it's like that evil twin we never wanted.
yeah.
As we're older, we look at it like, you've kept me alive. You've made
Mm,
me a better person. You helped me grow in communities and education and learning, like all of those things. Um,
mm,
Diabetes
definitely.
is a friend now.
Yeah. I think it's made me a more patient person, um, and a more understanding human being for all circumstances.
Mhm.
Instead of jumping to the worst when something happens, you try by all means to first check, is really okay. Let's say, for example, you're late for a meeting. Instead of jumping to the worst conclusion by thinking you're being disrespectful, you think maybe something happened. Let me find out first what happened is really okay. So that's why I'm saying it made me a more patient human being, and it also made me a more understanding human being because things happen in a spring of a second, even for me, and I cannot control the situation. Unfortunately, the other person would need to be okay with me having to prioritize myself and my health at the time.
It's a lot living with type 1
Yeah.
diabetes, but it's not too much for us. It's not too
Yeah.
much for us. Like
Yeah.
you recently over the last 2 years, you went through the process of bringing a new life into this world while
Yeah.
being a person with type 1 diabetes. That's a superpower that, I mean, being a mom in general is a superpower, but being a mother and going through that process while having
Yeah.
type 1 diabetes, that's like bionic.
Terrifying.
That's bionic. Like it's almost like a big howl. Like that's all I can see, like a big poster board that just says "How." Like
It
you do
is
that.
because let me tell you something. How you can normally tell when your sugars are low or when they're high, when you're pregnant, I wasn't getting the signals from my body. I wasn't aware of what's happening within my body unless I checked. And that is why I almost ended up in a coma. 6 months pregnant. I didn't know I was low. I didn't know. I thought I just need 30 minutes to finish this admin work and then I'm going to have my lunch. And then I ended up collapsing. So a lot. It's very scary, but that particular stage was the scariest of all stages. And the funny thing my doctor said was, when you woke up, you didn't even ask, where am I? What's going on? The one thing you said is my baby okay? That is all you wanted to know. And I'm like, yeah, because that was a very important thing for me. I've always wanted to be a mom. I've unfortunately experienced pregnancy loss before in 2018. I didn't want to have to go through that again because that was very traumatic for me. And I was very young at the time. I was only 18 years old when it happened. So now I am 25, 25 or 24 when I was pregnant. 25, yes, almost gonna turn 25. And I felt like I'm at a better financial space. I'm also at my healthiest. I'm also in a very healthy relationship. Even though my pregnancy was not planned to the T, but we've already had the conversation of parenthood in general. So I was like, okay, this was sprung up on us. It's a shock. For me, it was just, I was just nervous and scared from the get go. But we were welcoming to the idea of us being, parents. And yeah, I think the number one goal, which I think I also terrified my partner was, we need to make sure that I don't lose this baby. So let's do everything humanly possible. Go to the best gynecologist, go to wherever you need to take me to ensure that what happened before does not happen again.
Wrap
So yeah,
Michelle in the tightest bubble wrap. She's very fragile.
yep, yep, fragile cargo there.
Yeah, but you did it. Was it, well, how tough was the process when they, because you know what the gynecologist tell you, you know what the what your diabetes educator or endocrinologist told you. Was it everything they mentioned plus more?
Definitely plus more. My issue is that I was not eating really. I struggled a lot with the weight. I was losing weight like crazy. You know, in TVs when people are pregnant and you see them now huge and they're eating everything humanly possible on earth. I don't know how
Hmm.
you guys, I don't know how they do that. I couldn't stomach anything. Nothing was going down. I was struggling. Not even protein shakes were helping me. I was just pukey all the time. I didn't want to eat. All I wanted was popcorn and fruit. And that was just as anything that I could stomach. So I was constantly having fights with my gynecologist. You need to eat more. You need to gain weight. You're losing weight now, Michelle. What is going on? Also being so hard on my partner as well. You need to force feed her if she's not eating. Okay, put that spoon in. She needs to eat. So it was a very the hardest time. I felt like a child when I was pregnant because I felt like everyone was trying to cater to me, and I kept on saying, "I got this, I got this," but no, I didn't got it.
Hmm.
It was bad. I was losing a lot of weight
You
and
had that
very
red hat
fast.
on again.
Yep, yep. And in this case, I was just treated like a child, man, and I hated that more than anything. I kept on saying, "I'm a grown up. I know how to eat. Stop telling me to eat. I know when I feel hungry, okay?" But yeah, the main concern was I'm starving this baby and this baby's gotta eat. So, but I couldn't stomach anything down. So I think that was the hardest thing for me. And as well, my sugars, like I said, I wasn't getting signals from my body to indicate, okay, now Michelle, maybe check your sugars. Something is definitely going wrong.
Right.
I wasn't getting those signals that I depended on before. So now I had to constantly be poking and pricking because I'm not on a pump. I need to be constantly pricking and poking and injecting consistently to ensure that everything is going well and ensuring that I'm eating as well.
And you did, you had a, you have a beautiful baby, right?
Yes,
You have a
yes.
beautiful baby. Was your
Thank
baby
you.
born healthy?
Yeah, she was born healthy, just prematurely. I think I gave birth on like 31 weeks or 29 weeks.
Well,
So she did spend like 2 months at the NICU, but after that, if you can see her now, she doesn't look like the tiny
hmm,
mouse. She is, whew, like I keep saying, she is my test from God. Yeah, yeah, she definitely took my personality. She's a handful, but she's a very bubbly kid, very animated, very lively, likes interacting with people. Yeah, and I'm really just grateful for her. I'm grateful for the journey, and we actually pulled through. And she's now my testimony to say, hey, I made it. I'm diabetic, and I have this little angel. And she's diabetic free, of course. And we were happy together.
I'm happy for you because I'm picturing right now, I'm picturing a shirt that says, I'm T1D. There's nothing I can't do. Like,
That would actually be a nice thing. Like someone could open a campaign for that. That would
that's
actually
the
be
truth.
nice.
Like, you T1D, there's nothing you can't do. Like, come on
Yeah.
now. Like, from the science, the education, the childbearing, like, you know it all. The chemistry, the
Yeah.
imbalances, like,
Yeah.
even the from the emotional aspect, psychologically, like mental health, all of those things, like you know this, physical health, you
Mm-hmm.
know this, you know that it's a journey. You know that if you're
Yeah.
going to hop on this journey, you got to buckle in, buckle down tight, and know that some things are going to change. You're going to be on that roller coaster and hit some bumps and go down and come up, but in the end, everything's going to
Yeah.
be cool. Everything's going to be all right, you know?
Yeah.
You
Yeah. Yeah.
you're gonna be able to tell your testimony. And something I gift with this podcast is because one of the hardest things of someone who's living with type 1 diabetes, specifically an adult, is repeating themselves to people.
Mm-hmm.
Like having to repeatedly tell someone, I can have that, I can do this, I can do that. Or explaining what it is living with type 1 diabetes. So you got two perspectives. You got mine and you have your own. So that people won't think that, oh, that's just a Michelle thing. Michelle's always talking about diabetes. She's always going through this, going through. Nah, this is a
Yeah.
reality check. So
Mm-hmm.
with this, we create a link. So when it's released, you can just send that link to everyone who you want to send it to, and they'll get a better understanding of who you truly are. Not just the person
Mm.
who talks about it, but the person who lives it. Like, they'll be like, wow, like I did not know that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep. Is there anything we didn't cover that you wanted to cover?
Like you said, this is why I was so anxious. I've never really done a podcast interview or anything like that. And when you brought this up, I know it's been a long time coming. There's been cancellations and postponing and what so forth. Um, and I was just so nervous of, I didn't know what to expect. I was thinking like, so the first question, Michelle,
Nope.
how old are you? So the second question, Michelle, how long have you been diabetic?
This is an organic conversation. Like you're my sister in South Africa.
Yeah,
Like, come on now. It's been a while. Let's
yeah,
let's catch up.
yeah. So I was really, I think I also asked you the question of what should I expect? And I think you were also transparent in saying, hey, this is just going to be like a free space. We're just going to talk. Everything is just going to happen organically. Whatever topic we are on, we're just on that. Wherever the situation or the conversation puts us, we're just gonna speak about that. And I'm really grateful for that because it really gave me ample space and opportunity to also express things that I never really knew I was keeping internally. Until now, I'm saying it here on your platform. And I think as well, it also is giving me a perspective of, hey, man, you're not the only person going through what you are going through. There are numbers of us, and we can all connect and not maybe dwell on our situations and be like melodramatic on them, but maybe even have a joke about, hey, do you know when I experienced a low, this and this happened to me? And we make it a more comfortable and free space for us to talk about our situations without judgments, right? Because when you mentioned that you collapsed, I was like, hey, I was for the longest time embarrassed to tell anyone that I actually experienced that. I collapsed not once, but twice. Once in 2021, and then the second time while I was 6 months pregnant, and I thought I knew everything, and I'll eat in 30 minutes. My body's not going to tell me how to feel. And I was now in a situation whereby I almost landed in a coma. So I think I don't particularly have a question, more of a request or a suggestion for you to keep on doing this, keep on reaching out to as many people as possible. It's nice to hear different stories. It's nice to hear different perspectives of people's lives, um, especially diverse cultures and backgrounds and ethnicity and where people live. It's quite interesting to learn. I think for me right now, what's more interesting is how they live when it comes to themselves, like medically. For example, in overseas, you guys have the pumps or whatever. In South Africa, that's recently been introduced, but people still live on penicillins where they have to inject themselves, and we still rely on our testing machines. Whereas overseas, that's something that's been let go maybe years ago. So it's nice to hear different parts of everyone's lives and to also see how you guys are different. So that in terms of maybe you want to travel, you know what to expect. If you want to travel to India, I know we have had a podcast with someone from India. I can just tap on that. Maybe they've disclosed something that could be helpful to me. So yeah,
Thank you. Thank you. I truly appreciate that. Um,
yeah,
Look, I'm traveling around the world between March. No, well, I started back in January of I've recorded so many people all around the world from, like I said, India, South Africa, like everywhere in South Africa now.
yeah.
Um, to China. I've done a couple trips to China. Um, I can't think of anywhere I haven't been like that I've wanted like that's available. Like I've been everywhere because I want to show like even as people with T1D and people of color, like it's diversified all over. Like
Yeah,
we're not all the same and the way we handle and manage it aren't the same, but something we all do have is that
hmm,
the outcomes like physically and mentally. We all
yeah,
go through the
yeah,
highs and lows, and we all have this mental toll, this psychological aspect that is with us forever. And
hmm,
that's how we like link with our people because
yeah,
we can grasp or attach to them like mentally, like I understand you and you understand
yeah.
me.
As well as conceptually, we know what we're all going through, and emotionally, we can all connect because we're similar. All of us are going through the same thing, maybe not at different stages or at the time, but if you speak to every individual, you'll notice that okay, one person has also had this experience, and another one, and another one, and another one. So it's very nice to the one thing that anyone seeks besides having like a diagnosis. As human beings, we all want to belong somewhere. So it's nice to belong in a space where you can also make an impact. So that is why I'm saying I hope you continue with this because you don't know how great or bigger it can actually take. For now, you may be thinking it's just really doing a podcast and reaching out to various people, but you don't know how big it can actually get. How many people appreciate finally having a voice to say something. Not everyone is comfortable to disclose what they're living with. So now you are creating a safe platform where they get to speak about their issues, where they get to speak about things that have been troubling them, and where they are in life currently. So I really hope your platform goes big. And I really hope one day I can be like, okay, I was the first 10 people who were on there, and look where you are now, okay? And we're
You
bigger.
mean the first 10 people from South Africa? Look.
The first 10 people from South Africa, yes,
Okay.
to be like,
Look, I was
I was
like,
on there.
yeah, you're in that first 10 from South Africa. I'm really trying to remember how many I've recorded with from South Africa. I think it's
Yeah.
been six or seven. Um, But yeah, you're on that list, and
Yeah,
I truly do appreciate that because this isn't where this ends. This is just the beginning. We're talking about
yeah,
conferences, meetups, symposiums, like all over, like doing things to bringing the culture together
please. Yeah,
because
yeah.
it's needed. We need to change the landscape of what it means living with diabetes.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, I know that you got diabetes at 13. A growing young lady, for you, it was a lot. It was tumultuous. It was a true torrential downpour, like that you weren't expecting. For you, for your family, everyone that loves you most, it was a lot. But I follow science. I follow research. Someday, one day, not today, maybe not tomorrow even, but someday there will be a functional cure. And hopefully,
Mm,
when that is here, it's readily available for everyone. That they're
yeah,
simplifying it to where it doesn't cost so much, like that expense, and like it's easy to like just do and get it over with.
yeah.
Someday,
Thank you.
I believe it will be here because I've seen it. I've seen people that have gone through functional cure processes and they've been without insulin dependence for 4 or 5 years now. And all I ask for
Mm.
is one day. Give me one day
Just one
where
day to breathe.
I could just
Just
go to
one.
sleep and just I might just sleep that whole day, like for real. Like somebody else watch the kids. I'm just gonna sleep for 24 hours. Like we would used
I'm
to do
right
when
there
we were
with
kids.
you.
Remember when we were kids and we were tired, we'd come home, kick off our shoes, and just fall asleep.
Yeah,
Ah, I
yeah.
miss those
I
days.
definitely, I'm definitely with you when it comes to that. Just one day. I'm not asking for much. I'm just asking for one day where I don't have diabetes, where one day I can just chill, just for once, just chill and be myself, not have to worry about anything.
Right. So on that day, my sister Michelle, when you find out that you've been fully cured of type 1 diabetes, you look across every platform. They all talk are talking about the greatest news sensation, breaking news. Everyone's been cured of type 1 diabetes. Like you'll still be able to reach out and have these conversations because only we
Yeah,
know this, only we experienced this, only we went through
yeah.
this cure and process. Like we'll be able to do so much more.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
On that day, you
Definitely.
find out you've been fully cured of type 1 diabetes. What do you do?
I don't even know. I don't even know a life without diabetes is anymore. Is that funny? I know I was diagnosed at 13, but right now I can't picture my life without it. Um, I don't even know where to start. I can't picture my morning without having to first wake up and check myself. Or first wake up and have to check what my sugars are. It would definitely be taboo. It would be like, let's say you were retrenched at work, but you still have your alarms on for work. And you're like, okay, but I don't have to go to work. What do I do with myself in this particular situation? I think it would also be like a situation like that. Um, but I think your normal answer would be, I'll eat as much cake as I possibly can for the time being, because I don't know how long that is going that that one day is going to last of me just not being diabetic. Maybe eat as much candy as I want for just that one day, definitely.
Yeah. You see, you're smiling and the way you're talking looks like probably 13-year-old Michelle before that diagnosis. That's 13-year-old Michelle before that diagnosis right there.
Yeah, that's her talking, definitely.
Mhm. And on that day, when that cure is here, like I tell everyone, I'm going to reach out to you. We're going to link up. We're going we're going to do everything that we supposed to do.
Yeah,
We're gonna do it all. We're gonna have that cake, we're gonna have that candy, we're gonna take those trips, we're gonna throw our babies in the car, like with no extra stuff. Like you got a baby bag and you got a mommy bag. Like, come on. Like,
yeah,
no. We could just take trips across seas, you know? Not worrying about like, oh, what if I run out of insulin? What if this happens? Like, no, you don't have to worry about those things anymore because
Mm,
on that day, our minds will be free and clear, but we'll still be able to change the world for the better.
yeah, I really hope that day actually comes. I actually hope I live to actually see it. But I know a lot of experiments have been going on about like finding a cure. So even if I'm 80 years old by the time they do find a cure, I still want to be alive to see it.
Right.
Genuinely, I want to be alive to see it.
And just
It would be
knowing,
nice. Yeah, it would be nice to say the sentence, I used to have type 1 diabetes.
mhm.
I
I
used
can't
to.
wait. I
I
can't
no
wait to
longer
wear
have
that. I can't wait to wear that shirt. I used to have type 1 diabetes. Ser-
I'm a warrior. I'm a survivor of type 1 diabetes.
Right, man. Cause this, oh my, I wouldn't wish it on anybody. Like, whew, they just don't know. They really don't know. Like, this has been the opposite of fun. It's like
Yep,
the opposite of
it's
fun.
definitely not.
There's no privilege we get from living with this, like many
Yeah.
people thinks. But my sister Michelle, it's been some time in the making, but we finally got to sit down and have this conversation. I truly
Yeah.
appreciate you for having this conversation with me. Thank you for joining me, Michelle, on the Chronically Well podcast, where we have
Thank you
real
for having me.
conversations with community that need to be heard. Because, Michelle, you're someone that truly needs to be heard. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me, Lily, and you're definitely most welcome. I can't wait for, let's say we have a part two of this session. That would actually be really cool to just catch up and see where each individual is right now, from today or from wherever, whoever
Mhm.
you interviewed previously. It would actually be good to just also check in one of these days, and just see how everyone is doing after you're done, obviously, with your world trip off around the world. That would be
Nah, I
fun.
like what you just said, and I just highlighted that. Thanks, Michelle, for doing that. A check-in. Yeah, because look,
Happy to help.
there's some podcasts I listen to. Juicebox podcast is the number one type 1 diabetes podcast in the world. And when I
Yeah.
listen to that, like, because I've been listening to it probably since like 2018, 19, and I always wonder, like, where are those people at today? Like I hear some
Mm,
like very intelligent like 12-year-olds, 14-year-olds that have been on there. And I'm like, I
mm,
wonder if they finished like university and like what are they doing? Because I know they are going to change the world.
yeah. Yeah. And the one thing you said is this is not the end. This is a new chapter, right? So let's get a part two of the chapter. What happens in chapter two?
We'll see.
Yeah.
Thank you. Appreciate you.
Thanks, Silly, for having me.
When I come to Johannesburg, I'm ready to eat.
Please let us know. Let us prepare. Give us a chance to prepare and tell us before time so that we are prepared. Um, we want to go as wild as possible, but obviously safe as well. But we want to try out everything. We want to test the limits. There's nothing we can't do. So we want to test those limits actually.
Right? Because living with diabetes, I have to prepare. But if I'm
Yeah.
living without it,
Yeah. Yeah.
all right, enjoy the rest of the day. Appreciate you.
Thanks, Willie. Have a great evening as well.
Look, it's late. What are you at? What is it,
I am
9:30?
currently at like 9. Yeah, so I'm
9.
probably
Okay.
just gonna like
Yeah,
shower and sleep for
yeah,
now.
it's 2 here, so
2 a.m.
no, 2 p.m.
Oh, thank God. I'm like, what? You can't tell
Mm-mm.
me you are awake just to do the podcast.
Now I
Okay, okay.
have, but that's not happening again. All right.
The different
Yeah.
time zones.
Mhm. That's what it
All
was.
right.
Yeah,
No problem, really. It was a pleasure to meet you, and thank you for having me.
you're welcome.